Welcome back everyone. Today I'm playing a game that's been on my Steam list for some time and I finally got to playing it. We're going to spend some time playing Strange Horticulture. But before we get started, I would really appreciate it if you subscribe to my channel and join my online community. So, let's get started. Strange Horticulture is an occult puzzle game which was released in 2022. It's available on PC, Nintendo Switch, and Xbox. You play as the main character that has recently inherited a strange plant shop from their uncle. It's your job to provide the local townspeople with strange and unusual plants, which you will need to collect and identify as you progress. But along with running your store, you're also tasked with solving the mystery of the town, which we'll learn more about as we progress. You're dropped right into the middle of the game, and you're not really provided with much of an explanation for what to do and how to go about things each day. So, it does take a few tries to get the hang of things, but once you know what everything is used for, it's pretty easy to go about completing your tasks. So let's start with our first day. Friday. We start off with a letter from Simone which reads, "I've found it." An excerpt on the elusive wandering boo. "Come to the library in Ambleside and I'll tell you all about it. I even found something on the gilded dendra that might be of interest. Simone, P.S. Give Hellebore a good scratch behind the ear from me. You can find a drawer to the side of your main workbench where you can store all your items." We also have another note in our drawer which reads, "Dangerous plant, grows sparsely in the hills to the northeast of Backbarrow. Keep it secret." In your drawer you will also find your book, which contains a list of all the plants you have collected information on. This will help you identify each of the plants you own and also which plants to give your customers based on the information they provide you. Next in the drawer we also have a map of the area we live in. You will need this to travel to different areas. We also have a magnifying glass and a coin which helps you navigate the map, but we'll use that a bit later. You also have some labels which we'll use to label plants once we have managed to identify them. At the top of your screen, you can see all the plants you currently own. These will increase as you travel to new locations and complete tasks. At first you won't know which plants they are, but as you help patrons you'll be able to identify them. I moved mine all to the bottom shelf so it's easier to navigate. You also get a watering can to water your plants. If you need energy to have the will to explore, you can water your plants to gain some. Now that we're done arranging everything the way we like it, let's start the adventure. You want to use the Will to Explore button to complete tasks. These tasks are the ones that you receive in the letters. So, once you have clicked the Will to Explore button you can open one of your letters and travel to the location indicated in the letter. For example, on this one we need to travel to the hills to the northeast of Backbarrow. So let's see if we can find the right spot. If you find the right location, you should be rewarded with either some new plants or some entry pages for your collections book. This time round we got a new plant to add to our collection. We have no more energy so we cannot explore anymore for the time being, but we can now move on and help our first patron. To do this you simply click on the bell next to your friendly shop kitty. Our first patron is Victoria Gray. She says, "I must have walked past this shop 100 times without ever stopping to look. What a wonderful place to spend your day, surrounded by plants. I came here because I have an unusual request. At night I hear whispered voices, too faint to hear clearly, coming from the floor above me, but nobody lives up there. The rooms are empty. My curiosity has got the better of me. I must find out what they are saying. So, she needs some St. John's poppy. We'll need to take out our book and read up on this plant. The description reads, the vibrant petals of this flower can be brewed to create a draft that can greatly improve the imbiber's hearing ability. The flowers of the St. John's poppy are bright red with a yellow center. Now we'll need to find the plant that matches that description. I only have one plant that seems to fit the general description, so we can give that one to her. And we've managed to identify our first plant. Once you've identified a plant, you want to use your labels to label it. That way, if you need it next time, you know exactly which one of your plants it is. I also prefer to put my labeled plants on the top shelf. That just makes it a bit easier to see what we have identified. You can change the color of your labels if you're a bit more organized than me. We have enough energy to explore again, and we still have one letter to attend to, so let's do that before getting to our next customer. For this one, we need to travel to the library at Ambleside. I'm terrible at finding places on this map. This took me way longer to find than it should have. This time round we found some additional book entries. Hopefully we'll get to match up our plants with it soon. We've dealt with all the letters we've received so far, so let's welcome another visitor to our store. It's the local postman, David Schaefer, and he says, "Good morning. Bloody awful weather out there today. Good for the plants though, eh? Got a letter for you." We have another letter, which means we have some additional plants and entries we can collect. This one is from Amos Duncan, and it reads, "Gosforth is a hateful town. I was beaten and robbed and left to die in the streets. After many days, I was rescued by a kind stranger, just as I had come to fear that wickedness had infected the heart of every soul in that cursed place. I began my recovery in the woods to the south of the town with a group of travelers. On the northeast corner of the wood, I sat and stared at a bright flower, and tears flowed down my face at the reminder that there is beauty in this world. I shall be returning to Undermere soon. Warmest regards, Amos Duncan." Now we'll be able to travel to the next spot, which is the woods to the south of Gosforth. Once you find the woods, you want to go to their northeast corner. Thankfully I found the right spot, so I've been rewarded with another new plant. Let's welcome another customer. This time round we have Gilbert Ames visiting us, and he says, "Something's got those witches in the forest stirred up. They're not letting anyone through. I had to take the long way round, down through back barrow. I never did trust that sisterhood. Anyway, I'm here now, and I've brought Fennet from the south to trade for some lemon dandy. Hardly worth the trouble when you factor in the extra miles I've had to cover to get here. We're going to need to find some lemon dandy amongst our flowers so we can trade them with Gilbert. Let's take out our guidebook and read up on the plant we need. The book says, its curled leaves are thought to be the origin of the name of this plant, supposedly referring to a peeled lemon rind. Among several medicinal uses, the flower of the lemon dandy is mostly associated with curing afflictions of the heart. We're looking for curly leaves. I think this one probably fits best. We've managed to identify the lemon dandy. Now we can label it and add it to the top shelf. We also added Fennet to our collection. Looking back now, I should have labeled that one too, but I didn't even think about it while playing. Next up we have Faye Swift coming to our store. She says, "My dreams are becoming more vivid. I saw a woman, her face hidden behind a mask, and next to her, a terrifying black, skeletal creature. It stood tall, its roving head scanning the landscape, and though it had no discernible face, I could sense a hint of an expression about its features. It seemed to be laughing. But not the joyous laughter of a child, a sickly, horrifying laughter that chilled me like the first breath of winter. These past weeks have been getting worse. I need sleep." We can help her by providing her with some forest camphor. To do this, we'll need to open up our trusty guide and read the description. The strong-smelling bulb of this plant has a powerful soporific effect, making it a common ingredient in sleeping drafts. The camphor produces a beautiful rounded dark blue cluster made up of many smaller flowers. So we're looking for a pretty blue flower that has a strong smell. There are a few options to pick from. I'm going to have to look closely at all of these. Some of these can be a bit difficult, especially when there is not a lot of information to go on. But I finally picked this one, and luckily, it was the correct option. We've added forest camphor to our identified plants. We can label it and move it to the correct shelf. We have another visitor, this time round it's Nora Butterfield, and she says, "Got any wandering boo?" That always reminds me of, oh, what's his name? That old hermit inventor, the Wanderer. Anyway, the boo, if you've got it. Let's check our book and read up on the wandering boo. The description reads, so-called because this fungus can move slowly in the dark. It has been known to cover distances of up to several meters in a single night. The gills on the underside of this mushroom form beautiful flowing lines. They are also quite hard and sharp, earning this plant the nickname Finger's Bane. We're looking for a fungus. Luckily we don't have that many of those, so let's see what the options are. It would definitely be this one. The descriptions match, they both mention a sharp underside. We were right, and now we get to add the wandering boo to our labeled collection. We've reached the end of our first day. I try to ensure I finish all my letters by the end of each day, that way I start the next day fresh and only have new tasks to complete. Some letters are needed in order to complete certain requests from customers, so it's always best to have these done as soon as possible. Once you're ready to start your new day, you can select the End Day button. I like to clean up my workstation before ending the day. I tend to get a bit disorganized by the end of the day. Once you click the button, a bit of the story will be revealed, and you'll be able to select a card. Each card leads to a spot on the map where you can collect more plants, book entries, or information about the story. Now we can start day 2, Saturday. I like starting my day by solving the clue I received the night before. So, I'll open up my map immediately and try to find the location indicated. This is where the coin comes in handy. If you place it on the map and then hover your cursor over the center of the coin, you will be able to see the coordinates of the location at the top of the screen. This is helpful with clues like this one where you need to find the third river on row H. This clue has led us to the location of a new plant, which we can now add to our collection. We don't have any letters yet, so we can start our day by welcoming our first customer for the day. Isidore Burbridge has entered our store and says, "Bring me a sample of Apis demystis. And be quick about it, that damn cat is setting off my allergies. Shouldn't have an animal in a shop like this." Now this is the scientific name of the plant and not the name found in our index. This means you'll need to scroll through your book until you find the correct plant that matches his request. You can see the scientific name directly under the caption of each page. The plant he is looking for is Gandhi root, and the description reads, "A plant with medicinal properties that can aid with digestive troubles when prepared correctly." Care must be taken, however, as the rough leaves can be an irritant. Only the petals are safe for consumption. I first tried this one thinking it would be correct, but turns out it's not. Let's try another one. Finally found the right one, which means we can now add Gandhi root to our collection of labeled plants. Look who it is, it's our favorite postman David Schaefer, who says, "Lake Undermere is looking fine in the sunshine today. Here's your mail." We have another letter from Amos Duncan, which reads, "There's an old slate mine at Hard Knot that has some interesting looking fungi growing in it. I've never seen anything like them before. They seem to have found a niche in the damp dark tunnels left by the tramways. I thought you might be interested. Warmest regards, Amos Duncan." So, let's do some exploration. We need to find the Hard Knot mines. This one was a bit easier to find. Looks like we're going to need to use one of our plants to unlock the gate. For this we will need clavilium. We'll need to open our book in order to identify the plant we need. The description reads, "According to legend, clavilium can be used to open any lock, no matter how complex or secure. The heart-shaped leaves have earned this plant the nickname Lovelock." I believe these leaves best match the description. Let's see if we can open up that gate. We've identified another plant. Before we claim our rewards, let's label our clavilium. We found 3 new fungi, which we'll need to identify as we progress. We have a new visitor, this time it's Reuben Ward, and he says, "I'm headed to Grisdale Forest, investigating a possible murder there. Can't say I'm looking forward to it. The Sisterhood are a secretive lot and they're not keen to talk to me. Their leader, the Arda, or whatever they call her, is dead. My instinct is they're hiding something. I was hoping you might have some fox button that would help me win them over." Let's get started at identifying fox button. We'll need to open up our trusty guide and see what the plant's description says. It reads, "An offering of fox button is considered by some to represent a contract of friendship between strangers. Thick shiny leaves grow in opposing pairs along the stems." So let's have a look through the flowers we have available to see what's going to best match what the detective is looking for. I think this might be the right one. It has matching rows of leaves on each side of the stem and they look like they might be shiny. Great, now we can add the fox button to our known list of plants. We've also found out what the big mystery is. There has been a murder in the neighborhood. I wonder what we'll be doing to help solve the case. For now I guess we can only continue our day and see what happens next. Victoria Gray is back, let's see what she has to say. I was able to make out the whispered voices last night with the help of the St. John's poppy. There's a medium using the room, illegally I might add, holding midnight seances for gullible grievers. Is there a plant you know of that I could use to give them a scare and drive them away? I need my sleep. Looks like the plant we gave her yesterday helped her figure out the mystery of the voices coming from upstairs. But now she needs something to make the illegal upstairs neighbors leave. For this we'll need to identify the harlequin blue plant. The description in our book reads, when the bushy blue flower heads die back, they release seeds with downy pappus, which assists in wind dispersal. Once dried and hardened, the stems can be burned as incense. As they burn, they let out high-pitched shrieks, widely believed to be the spirits of dead souls trapped within the plant. I'm sure this plant will scare off any unwanted guests. Let's see if we can find the right plant to match the description. I think this is the right one, but let's scan all our plants just to be sure. Perfect, we have another plant to add to our list. We're making great progress with identifying all these rare plants. We have a hooded figure entering the shop. Let's see what Bethany Coleman has to say. You may have heard the rumors that our Arda is dead. May Arduina bring her spirit peace. The nature of her death is unusual. The sisterhood does not often look to outside help, but this is beyond our knowledge. If you show my sisters this letter, they will allow you entry to the forest. To be assured of your discretion, we require that you use Mary's breath to bind yourself to secrecy. The sisterhood needs our help solving the mystery of the murder, but we'll need to identify Mary's breath before we can receive the letter that will grant us access to their woods. The description for Mary's breath reads, the wide waxy leaves allow this plant to collect the large amount of water it requires. It is said that a person can be bound to secrecy using Mary's breath. It used to be grown in the royal gardens so that the king could ensure the trust of his confidants, but the practice fell out of favor. I think this might be the one we're looking for. Great, we can now add a label to this, and we've gotten a letter which will give us access to the secret of sisterhood. Hopefully we get to learn more about this mysterious death and this strange group. The letter states, we have failed in our duty as protectors of the forest. Our secrets have been stolen and the Arda has been murdered. You will find us deep in Grisdale Forest, a mile from the lake shore across from Torver. Please help us. Yours in hope, the Sisterhood of Arduina. We're going to need to use our map to explore the location indicated in the letter. They say they are located 1 mile from the shore of the lake. You can see at the bottom of the map it shows you that 1 mile is the same distance as the square. So, using that scale it was pretty easy to locate the sisterhood. We need to identify the plant run, which will help us figure out if the leader of this group had been poisoned. We'll need to open up our collections book and look up the description for wren, which reads, "The long leaves of the wren are known to turn black in the presence of certain poisons, and so can be used to detect them. Though it has no flower, it is said to smell unpleasant to those who have known death and sweet to those who have not." We only have 2 plants with no flowers, so this shouldn't be too hard to figure out. I think this one will do. We've identified the correct plant and we can now add it to our collection. We've also been given 2 new plants to add to the growing unidentified plants. We have also determined that the leader of the sisterhood has been poisoned, but we can't do anything else to help them because they have told us to leave. We'll need to see if they invite us into their group again. After some tidying up, we can welcome our next visitor. It's Isidore Burbridge. For the second time today, he says, "I'm this close to reporting you, half-wit. The last plant you gave me has made my skin itch furiously. I'll have your little shop shut down and torn to the ground if you don't make this right." We have 2 options here. We can either give him Butterdale or Meekdo. I went with Butterdale, so let's read what the description for this one says. Often found growing in clumps on valley sides. Butterdale has been used for centuries as a cure for all manner of skin rashes. The dark green leaves can be stewed and mulched to form a poultice. The flowers smell buttery to some people. This one matches the description perfectly. Hopefully, that's the last we've heard of that grumpy man. But let's label our newly identified plant. We've also reached the end of the second day, so we'll do some tidying up before we end our day to get our next clue and start a new one. I tried putting my plants in alphabetical order, but that didn't go as planned, so I'll need to do that another time. I'm really eager to see where this story leads us. We still have so many plants to identify. The clue today reads, the book both fascinated and terrified her in equal measure, and after studying it for some time she reached a decision. She would never use the power she had discovered. She would hide the book where it could never be found. Now we're on day 3, which is Sunday. Same as yesterday, I'll be starting my day by figuring out the location on the clue card we received. The first line of the card reads, north of Hawk Head. So let's find that spot first. The first line of the card reads, north of Hawk Head. So let's find that spot first. Hawk Head is up here and north of that is 1 square up. The next line reads, east of Lowick. Lowick is right at the bottom of the map. So I think that's still in the same square we're currently in. The next part reads, west of Rusland. Rusland is also at the bottom of the map, but for this one I think we might need to move over to the left 2 squares. And for the final line it reads, south of Crinkle Crags. Crinkle Crags is above us, so I think we stay on the same square. Hopefully we followed these directions correctly. Looks like we have, and we now get to add some more new plants to our collection. We have no other tasks waiting, so let's let our first visitor in. We have Wilbur Miller visiting us today, and he says, I'm looking for a plant. Lady of, what's it, something or other. I'm no green-eyed dreer, that's for sure. My mind isn't all what it used to be. It's the one that's supposed to help with mental decline. The plant he is looking for is Lady of Summer. The description for this one read, the leaves curl round delightfully which, combined with an attractive flower and a hardy nature, make this a sought-after ornamental plant. Aids with conditions of memory deterioration associated with old age. I think this would be the one he's looking for today. Great, let's label our newly identified plant. I wonder what the postman has for us today, David Schaefer says. They're saying the artist's been killed. I know a lot of people don't trust that sisterhood, but it seemed to me the Arda always looked out for the less fortunate. He also has another letter for us today. This time it's from Amos Duncan, who wrote, the cold is too much to bear beyond the gap. I was forced to turn back. I would advise against it, but if you are determined to explore the Great Gable, be sure to take precautions. Knowing you, I'm sure you'll have a plant up your sleeve that can keep you warm should the weather turn against you. Warmest regards, Amos Duncan. You know what that means, we get to explore another location on our map and uncover some new plants. This one should be easy to find, we're just looking for the Great Gable. We ran into a bit of trouble, and we'll need to find a plant that will help us out. We'll need to identify Brimlock. The description in our book reads, those suffering from hypothermia can be rescued by a draft made using leaves from the Brimlock plant. It has a warming effect that protects against extreme cold. When conditions are just right in the cold of winter, Brimlock produces small yellow flowers. The leaves are waxy and tough. I think this is the one we're looking for this time round. We've identified Brimlock and managed to find another plant to add to our collection. Now we'll just need to add a label and we can move on to our next visitor. We have Norman Lee joining us in the shop now, and he says, this plant is cursed. It has brought me nothing but sorrow. Please, take it, I want nothing more to do with it. Norman only needs us to take the plant off his hands, so we'll add it to our collection. Simone Green is paying us another visit, let's see how we can help her today. She says, hellebore. Always a pleasure, my feline friend. I hope he hasn't been nibbling the plants again. I have a favor to ask. You owe me for the hours I spent digging out the information on those plants. I've been burning the midnight oil again and could use some common trouse, and I know where to find it. According to Grayson's herbology, it grows in abundance on Red Pike. I'll come by the day after tomorrow to collect it. I have business in Sedber in the meantime. Here, take this. She needs us to find a plant which she'll come to collect later. She also told us exactly where to find it, so using our map all we need to do is locate Red Pike. We already know what plant this is, so we can also label it once it's added to our collection. And we have another visitor for today, this time we have Verona Green joining us. I wonder if she's related to Simone. Verona says, when you work with the occult, I find it pays to uphold a certain image. If you're going to be accused of performing witchcraft anyway, doesn't hurt to put on a bit of a show every now and then, let the punters know what I'm capable of, sort of thing. Long story short, I may have threatened to turn a small boy into a toad, and the little bugger called my bluff. Oh, don't look at me like that. You know what little boys are like. I can assure you he deserves to be turned into a toad. Anyway, I think a little display is needed to discourage this sort of behavior in future. Have you got any shimmerlung? Let's read up on the plant we're going to need. The description for Shimmerlung reads, the dried stem of the Shimmerlung burns very brightly and noisily, letting off a near blinding white-purple light. Flowers grow wrapped in large ridged leaves. I know exactly which plant this is. I remember seeing it when I added it to my collection. We just need to find it in our shop. Finally found it. I really need to find a better organizational system here. We have another customer for today. This time it's Ruth Douglas, and she says, there is a beautiful plant that I've been looking for all over but nobody seems to have any. Something. Monk brew? I'm not sure. I do know that you shouldn't touch the leaves though. We'll need to have a look at our index to see what matches the plant she's looking for. From what she says, I think we're looking for Mikdo. The description for this plant reads, the beautiful flowers, made up of many smaller florets, make this a sought-after decorative plant although it is difficult to care for. It may be a pleasant-looking plant, but touching the leaves against bare skin will result in painful sores. With that, we've helped our final customer for day 3, and we have no outstanding letters or clues to complete. I'm having so much fun with this game and can't wait to continue the story, but this is where I'll end it for today's video. If you enjoyed the game, please leave this video a like and don't forget to subscribe to see more content like this. Join me next time as I continue the mystery.